The East Brunswick Public Library welcomes David Darwin, the one-man sideshow, to kick off the summer reading campaign with his act, which includes juggling, comedy, plate spinning, and so much more.
I've been a professional variety entertainer, primarily a juggler, though I have a lot of other acts in my show for 16 years now, full-time. And libraries have been a big part of that for me, actually, for many years now. They're really wonderful. A lot of people actually are very surprised when I tell them, oh, I've got a lot of shows this week at the library. Like, really? There's entertainment at the library? Yeah, actually, in the summers especially, there's tons of it. And it's sort of a nice little niche that a lot of people aren't even aware of, particularly for people who do family entertainment the way that I do. I say specifically family entertainment because more so than children's entertainment, because for me personally, I really love about these shows that every kid has a parent or guardian with them. And that's something that's really fun for me, more so actually than doing school shows where there's maybe like one adult to 20, 25 kids. That ratio of parent, to one or two or three kids is wonderful in that some of the nicest compliments I've ever gotten is when parents come up to me and say, that was almost like watching a Pixar film where there's stuff on, that the kids are watching that's entertaining them, and there's stuff that you're saying that's kind of going right over their heads, not in like an innuendo way, but in a just like, that joke was more complicated than was meant for you guys. You'll get that in a few years. This for me was a hobby that grew into a part-time job while I was in college and has been a full-time job for me ever since. I actually grew up in Old Bridge, not far from here, and when I was 15, my dad taught me how to juggle. My dad is a terrible juggler, but he can just keep three balls going for a couple throws. He understands how it works. He's actually a better coach of it than he is at it. So he got me started, and then I actually went to the Old Bridge Public Library, took out the 3 books they had on juggling, and that was all I knew about juggling actually for several years until I went to college. Penn State had a really great juggling club, and I walked in on the first day and realized, like, oh, okay, I'm not a very good juggler. Until I met other jugglers, I thought I was pretty good. But there were a lot of great jugglers at Penn State, a lot of great magicians, actually. And I fell in with a crew of guys who were getting degrees to fall back on, but who knew I want to be a professional magician. That was their goal in life. And that was really inspirational for me. That was what got me thinking, like, okay, maybe this is not just a hobby. Maybe this could be a career. Vaudeville was a product of a certain time period, and a lot of the acts and material there is timeless and really valuable, but that venue is gone. That idea of having a theater that is just devoted to variety and that style of show. One or two places in the U.S. can support. There's a place like that in New York. There's there used to be any town of any size had a theater that was just like that. And then times changed. Movies changed that. TV changed that. And so now, what performers like me have to do is almost be more mercenaries. Like, wherever there is a gathering of people, we can go there. We can set up in a half hour or an hour. We can bring the vaudeville to you rather than you going to it. And so that's the way my career and most of my friends' career works. Sort of figuring out how to pack as much show into as few cases as you can and how to set it up as quick as you can, do the show, break it down, and you're on to the next venue. A lot of what I do is very traditional, juggling and unicycling, plate spinning, old cigar box balancing routine that W.C. Fields used to do in his vaudeville days, some trick roping, lasso stuff that I talk a little bit about Will Rogers in my show to sort of give a little bit of background about where these things come from. Chinese yo-yo, contact juggling, a few other things that are a little more modern in terms of the world of juggling. But I'm drawing from all different eras and cultures, and whatever strikes my fancy and entertains me is what I start playing with and working with, and eventually working into a routine, and eventually putting in front of an audience and seeing what they think of it. And I really like in these sort of shows to get a really broad range of volunteers. There are some Some of the tricks that I do, I really require a volunteer. I need, I have a tall unicycle, a 6-foot unicycle. I really honestly need 2 guys to hold it for me while I climb up on it. And I milk that for a little bit of comedy while I'm doing it, but there is a practical purpose to it. And so there are a few things like that where I legitimately need someone to help me with a part of the show, and I try to make it sort of theatrically a part of the show. But I do agree that there is a value to getting audience members up on stage, to breaking the fourth wall between the performer and the audience, and letting them know that this is a different experience than watching TV or a movie. People can reach out to me, find me on the web at www.onemansideshow.com, or give me a call, 215-808-8859.
There's more. But this is how it starts. In fact, this is how everything I do starts. It all starts with you and me and the thing. And the thing could be anything. It could be a box, or a ball, or a rope, or a unicycle. It doesn't matter. What matters is you and me. And so some people ask me, if the thing doesn't matter, why not get rid of the thing? Why not just have the whole show be you and me and no stuff? There's nothing wrong with that. Stand-up comedians do that every night, but I don't like it. To me, that feels awkward. That feels like 2 guys in an elevator avoiding eye contact because they have nothing to talk about. But if one of the guys in the elevator has a neat gadget or the other one's favorite book, then they can start a conversation about something. And that's my job. I give you stuff to talk about. So you can turn to the guy next to you and say, hey, that was a cool thing he just did. Because this what I'm doing, this is not important. This is just cool. What's important is that if I do this right, it brings you and me and everyone else here a little closer together. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You guys have been a wonderful audience. My name is Dave Darwin, One Man Sideshow. Find me online at onemansideshow.com.